We have done interstitial journaling twice before. Once in a very tiny way, and then later in a really big way. And what I said last year was that it was the most cutting edge module that we do. I still believe that. It's actually, I've come to think it's even more radical than cutting edge. And what makes it both cutting edge and radical is that we've all heard so much about mindfulness. I'm an advisor at Calm, this meditation app that just recently got valued at $1 billion, which is like this huge company built around mindfulness. And not even just an app anymore. I saw they have a presence in airports these days after a partnership with, I think, Spa Express. So I was walking through an airport and I saw the Calm logo and I could just sit down in that airport and meditate. And of course, a lot of people have learned to meditate through Headspace, or a lot of people have learned to meditate in their yoga classes or through in person. And maybe some of you have learned through the form of meditation that we teach in Heavy Mental, which comes up again later in the year. But as someone that has taught that meditation a number of times, it really stands out to me, this one problem. And it stands out to me because people tell me, they say, okay, I meditated at 8 a.m., but how does that help me be more mindful at 3 p.m.? And so what makes interstitial journaling so cutting edge and so radical is no one's ever really answered that question. And the way I think of, well, let me just back up before, I'm going to answer the question for you, but let me just back up so that we're thinking about it in the same way. And the way that I think about it is I think about it in as a parallel to athletic training. So in athletic training, you have this concept of generalized training versus specific training. So imagine Steph Curry, the basketball player, in my mind, the greatest shooter who's ever lived. Imagine that he is in the gym lifting weights, trying to be strong enough to shoot a basketball from anywhere on the court. That's generalized training. And if all he ever did was lift weights, he wouldn't be a good basketball player. I mean, he wouldn't even be a basketball player. He has to also pair that with the specific training of practicing the shots that he's going to take in the game. So generalized versus specific. So let's take that to mindfulness. Meditation is generalized mindfulness training. It gives you the capacity, it builds up your mental strength to be mindful, but doesn't teach you how to be mindful in specific moments of the day. Like I get to the start of a new project at 3 p.m., maybe I'm a little sleepy, a lot's already happened in my day, and I need to be smarter and more mindful and more aware and more clear-headed right now. So I've never really heard anyone in mental training or productivity answer this question of how do you get yourself to be more rational later in the day, at specific moments when you really, really need it. And interstitial journaling is that answer. And the practice at the base level is easy to explain. It is a little bit of journaling in between your major projects of the day. So you might work for an hour, journal for 5 minutes, work for an hour, journal for 5 minutes. Actually, the idea came out of, are there different ways that you could practice Pomodoro? So work for 20 minutes, journal for 5 minutes. And just kind of as an aside, I want to make sure I mention it again, because I mentioned it last year. This is the fundamental challenge of brain training. It is framed best in the book, Thinking Fast and Slow, is we think we need to get more rational, but really we need to be rational more often. In Thinking Fast and Slow, it frames it as most of our decisions are not made rationally. They're not made in the prefrontal cortex. They're made emotionally. And so much of the brain training we do is how do we override those emotional decisions and make a rational one instead. And interstitial journaling is this habit that constantly puts you in a position to say, well, wait a second. This is how I actually want to approach this problem. Here's a smart way. Here's a creative solution. Here's a place for me to put all the other things, distracting thoughts I might have about other projects. Let me just write those down so that they're out of my head, so that my full focus can be on this task I'm about to enter. All right, so if you don't know me, I'm Coach Tony. I'm the founder of Coach.me. My background is in behavior design, the formation of habits. This group, though, is about creating a year-round training program for the mind. So I'll put up on the screen the curriculum that we use. It's 13 modules. This module that we're in right now, Interstitial Journaling, is going to last for the next 4 weeks. I hope to see you not just in this module, but to commit to long-term training for your own benefit. Where would your life go if you were committed to building mental strength, mental discipline, focus, if you were committed to living more productively, what bigger goals could you accomplish? And so by giving you Heavy Mental, a year-round training program that you can come into, maybe not every day. I mean, I might give you 260 exercises over a 12-month period. But you can just come in as much as you can and just stay committed to building your best self. That's the point. So I hope to see you in this module, but more than that, I hope to see you over the course of all of the modules in Heavy Mental. And that's